Hey, this is Jack, and this video is why are so many men low investment? So if you've had the experience that men really aren't investing in dating, that they're dropping off all over the place, that they don't really seem that concerned and consistent about getting into some kind of real relationship with you, then this video is going to help. I'm going to give you some strategies for dealing with low investment men. I'm going to give you a little bit of context for what I think is going on in today's current dating context. And I think you'll walk away from this video feeling much more confident about your ability to attract someone that is willing to invest. So let's get into it. Why are so many men low investment? So right off the bat, I want to say this, that this is not just a one-way street. I could easily be making a video called Why are so many women low investment? Because with today's access to the dating marketplace opening up through dating apps, online dating, you're going to get all sorts of people who are caught in that net of dating. And I know from speaking with guys, I know from my personal experience that many women are also low investment when it comes to dating strategies. That they'll say one sentence on an app and then they will drop off. That they'll be into it for a little bit and then they'll drop off. Or they'll be very difficult to actually set a time and a date to go on a date. Now, many of you might be listening to that saying, oh my gosh, this is not my experience, this is not my girlfriend's experience. We're basically saying to guys, give us a time and a date and we'll be there, right? Lots of you I know are in the experience that you want to get off these dating apps and just go on a real date. You don't even mind whether it's a particularly interesting date. You don't even mind if it goes on to a second date. You just actually want a guy, like a kind of traditional thing. Like, do guys take women on dates anymore? If you're a woman watching this who dates men. So I just wanted to put that bit of caveat up front. Why are so many men low investment? I think there are a number of things that could be going on here, right? So one is just to talk about this current dating app environment, that I don't think dating apps appeal to the part of a man that is more likely to be high investment. And I actually kind of did a Freudian slip there, because the part of a guy that wants to be high investment is his heart, right? Dating apps hijack attraction strategy, right? So dating apps make it very easy for what we call unconscious attraction to be activated. And that is a kind of primal animalistic part of ourselves, which I'm not making wrong, but it's basically that kind of instantaneous hit that you get from like looking at someone across a bar or in a dating app, just looking at someone's picture and being like kind of, yes, I'm drawn, I'm attracted, they're hot, something like that. And I think it is difficult to both have that going on, right? And sometimes the sort of low quality distracted energy that apps have us in, and actually kind of be more tuned into your heart in the sense of, in the sense of the guy thinking, well, what do I really want? What do I care about? What am I really looking for in a partner? Am I even ready for a partner right now? What are my real dating goals, right? And I believe it's a free world. If people want to, kind of be in a more low investment orientation, right? Where they're kind of looking for intimacy without commitment or friends with benefits, or they're basically looking for more of a companion lover than a partner. I think people have, all fair game to do that. Where this is difficult is if you keep attracting that, but what you're actually looking for is someone who could be more high investment. So just one thing that you can pay attention to is the balance of on app versus in life kind of dating opportunities, because you might find the apps, and particularly certain of them, are really going for this kind of attraction strategy that's an unconscious attraction, and it's not really to do with, could this person be someone that I actually have more deep compatibility with, which, by the way, isn't always easy to discern. I know that from personal difficult experience, trying to discern what is the real compatibility in this situation. So the apps I don't think are helping you. The other thing is that people generally, and this is happening generationally, are saying that they're less interested to be in a relationship, right? That the number of people for whom getting into long-term relationship, partnership, the number of people for whom that is their current reality is on a downward trend, right? So sociologically, at large, we've got some kind of issues here. Now, here's the bright news. The good news is that for those of you, therefore, that are interested in something that's more high investment, you might be fishing into a smaller pool, but there actually may also be less competition on both sides of that pool. And you may have to cultivate some patience and some persistence to be able to notice more quickly, is this guy deploying a high investment strategy? So let's get into how would you notice if a guy is deploying more of a high investment strategy? Well, most of the time what you might notice is that there's a through time interest from him sustained in your direction. And so part of the game here is learning how to depersonalize when a guy is deploying more low investment strategies, right? Inconsistency, dropping off, not really escalating things to an actual, phone call or date or something that we can really get some real data from, that you learn how to depersonalize that. You don't take that personally. That is actually to do with him and where he's at in his life, and he has a right in a free country to be wherever he's at. The question for you is, how do you shift from a judgment of him or yourself, like he shouldn't be doing that, or I shouldn't be having this experience, to some kind of discernment which says, okay, this isn't a great fit because he's not really coming at me with some kind of consistent energy. So actually, let me step out of that. Let me say, hey, thanks. I notice I'm looking for something that's more serious. Or you can say, hey, I'm actually really interested in dating in person, and it doesn't seem like this is going in that direction. Correct me if I'm wrong. So kind of put it back in his court with some clarity. You can also pre-qualify and clarify this by putting in your dating profile that you're really interested in going on real in-person dates. And so that's why you're in chatting with people, but you're not interested in, ongoing chats that aren't going in that sort of direction. So all these things are about clarifying and depersonalizing what you want. Now, if you notice that there's a low investment strategy coming your way, the question is, what then happens inside you, right? Do you take it personally? Do you kind of get hooked into their thinking, well, maybe this can change? Do you sort of get distorted into some kind of fantasy thinking, like, oh, maybe I'll just hang in there. Maybe he's just busy right now. And there is a possibility that a guy is super busy, and that is the reason that he drops off. And there's a possibility that you do prematurely close something off. But we're sort of in what is a gross orienting generalization strategy? What is a sort of broad brush strategy that's going to be helpful for you? And that sometimes means, you're a betting person and you kind of get good at betting and noticing, typically if the guy, the trajectory of his comms is like this, it doesn't really go somewhere. Occasionally that guy, has had something, really hit the fan at work and he can come back into contact. But most of the time it's not too much of a problem to let that stuff go. And you actually then keep your kind of tip of your spear sharper because you're taking a stand for, what is my filter? What is the incoming interest that I want to take a stand for? And if it's not that, I actually get pretty good in an impartial and depersonalized way at saying, hey, I'm actually going to unmatch this, or I'm going to send a clarifying message, or I'll give any guy, 24 to 48 hours. And if he's not in touch in that kind of period, then typically I let the connection go, right? So this is about you continuing to reinvest your energy towards the things that might have some kind of interest for you, some kind of prospect. The other thing that you can do if you're noticing that you're getting a lot of inbound investment is get curious about the impact of your profile, right? So one of the things you could do is actually show your profile to you could show it to a dating coach, you could show it to a number of friends, you could show it also to your target audience, right? If you, a woman that dates men, let's show it to some guy friends in your life and just sort of get some collective groupthink about what's possibly going on here. What is the sort of impact of this? Does this make me come off as someone who is interested in a more serious relationship? Is there anything in my profile that doesn't give that impression? And here are some simple things that you can look at, right? What is the quality of your pictures, right? Most guys are visual. And so the quality of your pictures is also determining the quality of someone looking at you and saying, well, is this a serious person, right? A serious person doesn't have a first picture where you can't see their face. A serious person doesn't have a first picture where they are so far removed from the camera that you can't get a good read on them. A serious person doesn't tend to have obscuring things in their first picture, or at least their first couple of pictures. So if 3 out of your 5 pictures are you with shades on, you've got an issue. If we can't just get very quickly in that first picture, ideally, but certainly the first 1, 2 to 3 pictures are just a really prime headshot where it's like, this is what you look like currently. Someone else might not be seeing that as serious. So there's a whole thing about how good are your photos. There's another thing about what is the content of your bio. If your bio says, I hate writing bios, just ask, that kind of comes off as low investment, right? Okay, if you hate writing bios, how about you get a friend to help you? How about you work with a dating coach to help you? How about you put a few ideas down on paper and work with AI to help you? How about you pay someone to write it for you? How about you just do your best and own the fact that, hey, this is difficult for me. I don't like writing bios, and you still write a bio, right? So you might say, well, guys don't read bios. Well, who does read bios, or is more likely to, is high investment guys. So if you're trying to appeal to your target audience, which is high investment guys, then we need you engaging in the kind of profile that appeals to them. Other things that you might want to dial back on is your critiques of men, right? If half of your profile is about Guys, why are you in shirtless selfies? Guys, what's it with all the car photos, the fish photos? Guys, don't you realize that you need to make a first move? Are there any guys out there that still want to court a woman? None of that comes off as targeted to high investment guys, right? That kind of comes off as you're having a difficult time dating. It kind of comes off as like, why are you talking about other men? Like, here's a guy in front of you. It's not really the sort of the right energy or consciousness, right? You don't put a job application in and complain about the problems of job applications or complain about your previous employer. Right? There might be a time and a place for that, but it's not when you've only got 100 words to communicate who you are to someone. So take that bit seriously. I mean, this profile might be being shown to tens, hundreds, thousands of people. So for any of you that have been involved in any kind of internet marketing, or that just a small shift in an open rate, like on an email or some kind of social media content, or a small shift in how many guys look at that first picture and then start to scroll, if you up that by 5%, right, that's a big deal. Once you multiply that out across thousands of potential people through time looking at your profile, wow, now we're getting tens to hundreds of more people engaging with your profile. That's upping your chances. Other things that might suggest that your profile isn't particularly serious is if most of your pictures are with other people, and therefore it's difficult to discern quickly which one is you. So yeah, by all means show you have friends, but I would probably only do it in one photo, max two. And if you do that, make sure that you are the most obvious person in the photo, right? So if you're at the front and you've got two friends slightly to the side and back, then we know who's you. Or if it's not clear, put a ring and an arrow to make it clear, like, this is me. Make it easy for people. When people are confused, they don't tend to take positive action, right? So if people are looking at your profile and they're tired and it's the end of the day and they're scrolling and they've got Netflix on in the background, which is probably the kind of attention that most people are giving dating apps, even if they're high investment, it's probably true. Most of us are distracted a lot of the time. And if they can't work out who you are, they're probably not going to be taking positive action on you. And the other thing, if you put multiple people in the profile, is sometimes it's distracting because maybe there's you and someone else that they feel attracted to. And that's just, again, it's a kind of bifurcation of someone's interest and intent, and we want all of that going towards you. So I would limit the amount of unclear or overly social photos that you have. I would also counsel you, like if you're a very sarcastic person, I've seen some brilliantly sarcastic profiles. So yeah, let's have some of the flavor of you coming across. But if you only play to sarcasm, I feel like that's also another proxy for people saying, well, maybe this person isn't serious. Like maybe they're funny, but if you actually look at the list of things that guys tend to value, there's not that many guys that have sense of humor is their top value when they're looking at who they want to date. So get a little bit of your humor, a flavor of that sarcasm in there, but I wouldn't build a whole profile around that, right? Let's get some other things about you that are important. Let's get some of your other, great qualities, other unique flavors, other things that you bring to the table. You ideally don't want a one-dimensional profile because that's really putting all your eggs into one thing. I mean, unless you're saying, I'm so sarcastic that I only want the guys that are so jazzed by sarcasm to the front of the line. And that's like a very, very targeted strategy. And like any good marketeer, right? Because dating apps is marketing. Let's be honest, that's ultimately what it is. We're trying to, get the match to get the first date. You need to be tracking the data of your marketing, right? Meaning, if you have that kind of profile and it's not bringing you the kind of leads that you want, I would encourage you to split test it, to try a different type of profile, and let's see how that does. And run it for long enough that you've actually got real data coming back into you. So none of this is saying if you're getting low investment interest, that's your fault, right? There's no blame in here. This is really about empowering you to get more of what you want, which if you want more high quality interest coming your way, let's make sure your profile is doing the best work that it can do. And I would be going back and tweaking that profile many times, right? Because that is the front end of all your marketing, So we need that to have the right sort of people drawn to it. So I would be testing it, improving it, changing some things up, trying it across different platforms. That first sentence, right, should be a little bit of an intrigue, a bit of a hook. What's something that right up front might have you stand out from other people? If you're saying things about how much you like tacos, how much you like dogs, how much you do or don't like pineapple on pizza, how much, the 25th of April is your favorite day because it's not too hot and it's not too cold, whatever that sentence is, you're not standing out from the crowd because there are so many people using those kind of things. If you actually want to get an experience of this, go to one of your guy friends, right, and ask them to do some swiping with you so you can see what it's like from a guy's side, or even if you want to, go set up a guy's profile and have incoming interest from or be looking at women's profiles so you can sort of see like what are the flavor of this. Because the thing about guys with shirtless selfies and cars and fish photos, there are definitely equivalents of them with women. And dating profiles is really about uniqueness, right? It's about standing out from the crowd. It's about having a few things that make people arrested to you. Now, for some of you, you might be visually attractive in a way that lots of guys are going to click on you, right? For most of us, that might not be the case, and we might actually need more than that. And even for those of you that's true, you still need high quality leads. If your clicks is because you've activated an unconscious attraction in a guy where he's just like, oh yeah, you're hot, that's not enough to actually sustain the interest of a heart-centered guy into wanting to be in relationship with you. So you may also be leading with your assets that get clicks, but they don't get the high quality clicks or the high quality interest and matches that you need. So you might also have to tweak it. So this applies regardless of how you look, regardless of what age you are, regardless of a lot of things. You need that profile to be dialing in to the right kind of people. And it may be boring for you to do the work on that, but if you're gonna put the effort into swiping, and we all know that swiping, if you compound it through time, most people are putting hours, days, and weeks of their time into this. And if you're not, just realize you're kind of competing in a marketplace where people are doing that level of swiping. So let's have it working in your favor. Let's have you depersonalizing the interest that's coming from men so that their low investment behavior is not your problem, but you're doing the maximum to draw in high quality, high interest investment behaviors from men. A lot of this is about saying no and not getting your attention energy stuck on things that aren't. 99% of the interest coming your way is probably going to be low grade attention. It's probably a distracted guy late at night. He may or may not be interested in really getting to know you or dating you. So the assumption really is that he's not that interested. So you're not going to imagine that someone's interested until they show it. But what can actually have you maximizing the chances that you keep redirecting your energy into high potential leads? And again, most of those aren't going to go somewhere, right? Let's just be sober about this game. Most every person you meet is not going to go somewhere. But let's have you focusing on the highest possibility of people that can go somewhere. And that's how you maximize your chances of getting more out of your dating. So I would love to know what you think. Please subscribe to the channel if this means helpful to you. This channel is about authenticity, psychology. We also share some stuff about upgrading ourselves individually, personal development, and social systems. There's a lot of cool stuff on this channel. I'd love for you to be part of the community. And as always, I'm Jack. Thanks for being here.